What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the Sportsgasm Podcast. I'm your host, Kylee. We got my homie, Calvin. Unfortunately, we don't have Isaac today. He's a little upset about that Bucks loss. But we have Calvin here, so we're going to kick it off. He's our Washington fan, so we're going to talk a bit about the football team this year, the future, and he's also a sports betting genius, so we're going to talk about that as well. Like All right, so how you doing, man?
Doing good. I can't complain. Hey, it's a beautiful day outside, so.
You already know. All right, so first things first, how do you feel about the season?
The NFL season in general or Washington season?
Washington.
Another disappointment, as always. I believe that we will never be a good organization until we make changes. It's just sad. It's like they trick us. Like Heineke comes out, throws for 300 yards one game, then he comes out the next game and he's throwing for 68. He's throwing for 100. He's like, what's going on? Like, are you good or are you not good?
Is that so one thing I'm obviously hearing a lot is Washington is like a quarterback away from being a really solid team. You think the same?
Honestly, not just a quarterback. I think we get another nice receiver as well. Terry McLaurin, don't get me wrong, is a great threat. Mm-hmm. He's definitely a good number one receiver, but we do need another great receiver beside him. As you can see, like teams like a Brady, he has Godwin and Mike Evans, mm-hmm. as well as Gronk. We have Terry McLaurin and sometimes Logan Thomas. So we definitely need a quarterback. We're a quarterback and a receiver away from being a great team.
Yeah, definitely. So who do you want your team? Who do you want Washington to target the most in free agency?
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson can not only make this team better, he can help change the culture with this team and make us a better team off the field as well as on the field.
Do you think Snyder should sell the team?
1,000%. He should. He honestly should give it to me.
Hey, dude, I trust you.
Yeah.
So other than wide receiver and quarterback, who do you want to see your team target in the draft? Any position?
I would say linebacker.
Yeah.
I like linebacker, offensive line, maybe a DB. Those would be my top three positions that I would like us to target in the draft, though.
You have any names in mind? Yep.
No, I don't. Not at this time.
Not yet.
Not at this time. I'm steady. Right now, I'm in the mix of watching who's coming out in this draft this year. I haven't really seen anybody who's really caught my eye and was like, "Whoa, we need that guy." Mm-hmm. So I can't give you a name at this time. I'm sorry about that.
There's a guy from Cincinnati. He's a corner. I'm completely blanking on his name, but he didn't let up any touchdowns.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely a great cornerback, but he'll be gone before we get a pick at 11. I think he'll be gone before that.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe trade up though.
Could possibly trade up, but if we're gonna trade it up, I see this draft. I don't even know. It's not even really anybody that really catches my eye for me to say if we should trade up, let's go get him.
Yeah, it's not a really like last year's draft where there were so many names.
Right.
So with the new name being released on February 22nd, what do you want the name to be?
I don't mind Commanders. Everybody says that's what it's probably going to be. I would like Washington Red Wolves, though. Red Wolves would have been the best name.
Yeah, because, for sure.
you change the name. I think that is the actual first step of like changing the culture, and you may get a packed stadium again with a new name. And just imagine 50, 60,000 people just howling like wolves on a third down or something like that. Like that would have been something crazy.
Right? And HTTR, Hail to the Redskins. I mean, and we'll
Exactly.
keep it going.
They'll always be the Redskins to me.
So on to sports betting. What even got you into sports betting?
I'm gonna be honest. One day, I just had a friend. He was talking about how he put down $10 and he made $1,000 on an 8-leg parlay. And I said,
"Oh my god!"
It was like maybe about 3 years ago at this point. And ever since he told me that, I was like, bro, get me signed up. How do I sign up? I was like, I know sports. I could do that too.
You bet on all sports, right?
Oh yeah, hockey, basketball, baseball, football, tennis, you name it.
Tennis? Damn, what are you most successful at? What do you make the most money in?
Liverpool. Liverpool's made me a lot of money.
Really?
Soccer. Yes. So soccer has made me a lot of money. Liverpool is my number one moneymaker in 2021.
They're killing it right now in the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely.
So can you explain like the point spread?
Yeah, so basically every week whoever it is that creates it, they come out with a different line every week. So they have a favorite and they have an underdog. The spread system is, let's say, I think this week Cincinnati is plus 7.5 against Kansas City. So that plus 7.5 there on the spread, that means they don't have Cincinnati losing by more than 7.5 points. So if Cincinnati was to lose by 6 points, whoever bet the Cincinnati plus 7.5, they win their bet. If Cincinnati was to lose by 8 points, whoever bet that Cincinnati plus 7.5, they lost their bet because they lost by 8 points instead of under 7.5 points.
That's like the most confusing part.
Right. Exactly. So you could be a sports bettor sitting there thinking like, oh, they lost by 8 points. Did I win? But no, you didn't, because they lost by more than 7.5. So as on the other side, Kansas City is minus 7.5. So they have Kansas City winning by 7.5 points or more. So basically, if Kansas City was to win by 8, whoever bets minus 7.5 wins that bet. If they were to win by 6, whoever bet minus 7.5 does not win the bet.
That's insane how they come up with like 7.5.
Yeah, it is very crazy, because there's a lot of times where I've lost bets by half a point. Like I've had a Lakers game, actually. It was Lakers minus 3.5, and they ended up winning by 3 points.
Oh.
Yeah.
Of course it's the Lakers too.
Yeah, the Lakers have been disappointing me this year.
They have been. It's insane. Do you have a strategy for when you bet? Like things you stay away from?
I stay away from toss-up games. Games that I'm not confident in. Like, let's say, like UCLA, Arizona last night in college basketball. Both top 10 teams, number 3 and number 7 team last night before they played. And I was sitting there thinking, which way do I go? Like, this game can go either way. Arizona has home court advantage. They're the home team. Even though they were the 7th seed, they had home court advantage. So it's like Arizona could sneak a win out if they come out and do what they're supposed to do. So I stay away from games like that. I also stay away from games where it's like, let's say in NFL, 11-2 is playing a 0-13. I'm staying away from that because any given Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when the Lions played who was it?
Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any given Sunday, I stay away from games like that.
Are there any like point spreads that you stay away from, like really close or far away differences?
Yes. You'd be surprised how many times I've skipped out on a -2 parlay. I mean, a -2 point spread. Like, what game was it? Actually, it was just this game last week. The Packers and the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
It started out at -3.5 for the Packers. Before the game started, it ended up dropping to -2. And I still stayed away from it. I was like, I just don't have a good feeling about it. Even though I wanted Rodgers to win so bad, I was like, San Francisco has a lot of ball players.
They do, clearly.
Yeah.
They won.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are parlays?
So there's a difference between parlays and straight bets. So basically a straight bet is you're just betting on one single team. So let's say this weekend, Kansas City versus Cincinnati. I'm call me crazy. I'm going Joe Burrow all the way.
Oh yeah.
So I would basically, let's say I put Joe Burrow and then the Rams and the 49ers play. I'm going with the Rams. I'd go Bengals and Rams. So basically Bengals and Rams, that would be a parlay together. So, but in that parlay, since I'm picking two teams, I would need both the Bengals and the Rams to win for me to win that parlay. If the Bengals won, but the Rams lost, I lose the parlay. If the Rams won, but the Bengals lost, I lose the parlay because both of them didn't win. Now, let's say if I was to go on a straight bet and just bet the Bengals would win the game, and then I just do a separate bet that says the Rams will win the game. If one of them wins, but the other one loses, I still win money because it's just betting on that one single team by themselves instead of betting on the both of them together.
That makes sense. Where do you go to bet?
So I have a couple websites I bet on. I use FanDuel. I use BetMGM. I also go to, there is a thing right above Capital One Arena in DC, sports betting place. I also go there as well. But yeah, I usually use FanDuel and BetMGM.
That's awesome. I've always been like curious about sports betting because it's always just like crazy and so many things go into it and anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Going into football, insane playoff games this past weekend. I mean, the craziest one obviously is the Bills Chiefs, and I can't believe it came down to overtime. And how do you feel about the overtime rule?
I think it should be like college. Yeah. I hate the overtime rule because I honestly think that game probably would have scored in the 70s if it was
absolutely
if it was like college, because both of those quarterbacks were just very, very hot in the last 2 minutes of that football game.
Yeah. And everybody was saying that like the Bills sold and they like the defense was just awful, but it was like 18 points or something like that in the final minute and a half.
See, exactly. I don't really say the defense sold.
I don't either.
I think it was more exhaustion, and Kansas City was just more energized at that moment because you got to look at it like this. Adrenaline's rushing on both sides, definitely. Mm-hmm. But the Bills defense has tired adrenaline because they had just been on the field literally for 2 minutes straight. Like it was back to back scoring. So yeah, they have tired adrenaline. Kansas City, on the other hand, they're home. They have the home field advantage, crowds pumping. Not only that, they have the football. Yeah. So you have no choice but to have the adrenaline that's rushing. You don't have time for tired adrenaline.
Mm-mm.
I think if Buffalo got the football and Kansas City was on defense, I think the same thing would have happened and Buffalo would have went down and scored.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the loudest stadium in the NFL too.
Mm-hmm.
So that home field advantage definitely helped.
Exactly.
I would say that this Mahomes Allen duo's battle is definitely going to be the next Brady Manning.
I think it's too early to say, but it's up there. It's going to be up there. They have shown us in every game so far that it's going to be a battle. But this is why I say I can't say that yet. We can't count out Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has given us a football game against Kansas City and Buffalo every time he's played them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely going to give my respect to Lamar Jackson. He won an MVP for a reason.
Exactly.
And he can obviously throw. I went to the Colts Ravens game. Dude can throw. Trust me.
Yeah, he'll be back in the conversation in the playoffs next year.
I think so too. Because there were just so many injuries with Baltimore this year. I definitely don't think it's I don't think they're done.
Yeah, a healthy Baltimore team. I have a friend who's a real big Baltimore fan, and he tells me all the time. He says, if we were healthy, we would win the Super Bowl. And the first time he said it, I was like, you're crazy. But then I really went home and looked at it, and they had so many injuries, so many, not just injuries, key injuries.
Yeah.
Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey was injured for a lot of the time. Their running back was injured the whole season.
Both of them.
Both of them. So and then Lamar goes out for the second half of the season, basically. So, and the thing is, they still had a chance to go to the playoffs.
Exactly. That shows, and people are wanting Harbaugh out, but I think that's a testament to Harbaugh himself keeping this team together.
1,000%.
I mean, it blows my mind that because we live in the DMV, so we have Ravens fans everywhere, and you get the two opinions. Lamar Jackson's bad, fire Jim Harbaugh, and then you got the others who are like us who don't
I think, and that's another thing too. I'm glad you said that, because I don't think that Ravens fans, there is some that do, but I don't think a lot of Ravens fans actually give Lamar Jackson the respect he deserves.
Mm-mm.
He is not a bad quarterback.
Yeah,
he does run a lot, but he is not a bad quarterback. He can definitely throw the ball. Yes, he has some accuracy issues, but that can always be worked on. Peyton Manning had accuracy issues when he first came in. Peyton Manning had 19 interceptions or something like that in his first year.
Yeah.
Like,
broke the record.
Look what Peyton Manning, exactly. Look what Peyton Manning did the rest of his career.
Yeah. People are so quick to write off quarterbacks and stuff like that. But when I went to that Colts Ravens game and he had that game-winning drive in overtime, that entire stadium went insane.
Yeah, and that's the thing with life, though. They'll cheer with you when you're at the top.
Yep.
But when you're doing bad, they want nothing to do with you.
When you're doing bad, that's when you find the real ones.
Exactly.
The ride or die fans.
Exactly.
So the other game, we got Bucks Rams, and it made me happy to see Brady get knocked out. Especially with the little field goal and Cooper Kupp just absolutely torching the corner and just finding his way deep. It was great.
Yeah, that was a great game, but I knew Brady wasn't out of it. 27-3. I saw him down 28-3 before in the Super Bowl.
That's exactly what I said. I was at work watching the game. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, that was also another crazy game. But you see, I bet on the Rams in that game. So my heart was thumping out my chest that whole last couple of minutes of the game. And I don't know if you saw these, there was a Lions fan. This girlfriend had recorded the boyfriend with the Lions jersey on, the Matt Stafford jersey on. And he was like, spike it. That was literally me. I was jumping up and down. I'm like, spike it. Please get down there, please. But yeah, that was another crazy game. But shout out to Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. They
Yeah.
had a great year this year. Hell of a year.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been so much fun watching them. I'm so happy Matt Stafford's finally getting success and playoff wins and finally in the conference championship where he deserves.
Yeah.
I just
Shout out to Odell Beckham too.
absolutely, he was not the problem.
1000%.
Absolutely not. And his dad, #1 agent.
Yeah. Seriously. Seriously.
Do you think Brady's gonna retire?
It's hard to say. You never know with Brady. He's like I would describe Brady like a chameleon. He can fit in anywhere. He just blends in anywhere. So you really don't know the guy's move until he makes the move.
Yeah, like when he was going to Tampa Bay, everybody was texting his friends and everything, and they were all like, "We don't know."
Yeah, exactly. I think honestly, if you want my opinion, I want him to retire.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sick of Brady like people tell me they're sick of LeBron James, because everybody knows how I feel about basketball, LeBron James, but I'm tired of Brady. I'm tired of seeing. It's not even that I'm tired of seeing this guy winning. It's just like, bro, you're so old. Why are you still here? Like, go home and be with your family, man. Like,
22 seasons.
He's been doing this since I was 2 years old. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't even really comprehend football, and that's how long he's been playing.
It's insane. How long he's been able to play. I mean, you see players stay for 15 years, 10 years, but you never see 22.
Don't get me wrong, though. Even with all that saying that I want him to retire and everything like that, I appreciate his greatness.
Absolutely.
1000%.
Yeah.
Definitely hands down best quarterback to ever play the game. His story, if you look at it, he's not a first round guy, not a second round guy. He's a 6th round guy. So for him to win 7 Super Bowls just tells you a lot about the guy.
Absolutely.
He's a winner.
Yeah, I mean, pick 199. Like,
yeah,
it's insane. And I think I talked about this with Isaac, I think last week. But I really think the Brady and Belichick success was both of them. I don't think it was just one or the other. I think it was Brady's determination and work ethic and Belichick's mindset that just clicked with them.
Yeah, see, there was a time where I hated Tom Brady so much that I would give Bill Belichick all the praise for that. But then I really had to realize, like, this guy's different. Like, this guy is really different. And not only is he different, he plays the game so poised.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even down 27-3, down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, himself, he knew he was never out that game. And there's always a chance with Tom Brady. I think the next guy we see coming up like that is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it showed this past week that it could be. I mean, he's had so many game-winning drives last year or 2 years ago when they were down to Tennessee by like 2 or 3 touchdowns really early on. They still came back and kicked ass. I mean,
well, you can look at it in I don't know if it was, did Deshaun Watson play last year?
Yeah.
Yes. So last year in the playoffs, when Houston was up 24-0, he came back and won that game. And Patrick Mahomes, he's different. Just like you said, the game the other night, 13 seconds left. I'm like, he's not out of it.
He's not out of it. They gave him way too much time.
That game and the Packers game was the game that hurt me the most, because I had bet Bills and Packers. So with 13 seconds left, I was ready to tweet. I'm like, yeah, Bills, let's go. And then something stopped me, and I was like, this game's not over yet. This game's not over yet.
It ain't over till it hits 0-0.
And sure enough, it just was not over yet.
Nope. It's so frustrating because I think this is gonna happen for years.
Oh yeah.
It's not just this year. It's not the past 2 years. Like it's gonna keep going, and I just hope that it's not against my team.
Kansas City, they did the right thing when they signed Patrick Mahomes to 10 years. He's going to spend his lifetime there. He's going to bring them a lot of championships.
Absolutely.
He already brought one in his second year. So the guy has a lot of years left. he just might just be another Brady. Like, if he doesn't win as many Super Bowls as Brady, he's definitely going to passing yards. He'll be number one. The guy throws out of this world, 400 yards a game without even flinching. It's just second nature to the guy.
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be interesting to see how they build this team to continue the success around Mahomes.
Yeah, a lot of superstars around there. You can't pay all of them. Somebody's going to have to fall off eventually.
Yeah.
And even with this weekend, with them playing the Bengals, the reason I like the Bengals so much is we saw in the regular season the Bengals could already beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, if Tyrann Mathieu doesn't play, that's a big hurt.
Huge. That's huge. I mean, that's why the Bills were able to come to score, because Tyrann Mathieu wasn't there.
Joe Burrow has a lot of firepower around him to torch that Chiefs secondary without Tyrann Mathieu. Absolutely. And he already did it with Tyrann Mathieu back there. So Jamar Chase had 200 receiving yards that game. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a great game. But Patrick Mahomes, like I was saying, he's definitely going to be that next Brady type of guy.
He's going to be a problem.
AFC goes to them.
Yeah, without question. So did you see the where Kelsey told Mahomes he wasn't going to run the route that he was supposed to? He's just going to run down the middle, and they have to time out. And if they did the same thing again, that he was gonna do that.
When you have connection like the two of them do, you can do things like that.
Absolutely.
That's just them playing 7-on-7 backyard football. You know, I'm gonna run this route. You know exactly what I'm doing. Throw me the football.
Yep, F it. Kelsey's out there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. It's funny because, I mean, it's great because the Kelsey family was there. And everybody was like going up to Kelsey's mom and saying, thank you for having him.
Yeah, that guy, he's another special guy.
Absolutely. He's funny.
Yeah, 100%. He'll go down as one of the great tight ends when he's done.
Absolutely. Moving on to the 49ers and Packers. Another good game that you don't like because you lost the bet. I think the 49ers are a Cinderella story of 2021. A little bit.
Yeah. I could say that.
Yeah. And it's
started the season very slow.
Yeah, they did. And it's interesting to know that every time the Cowboys and the 49ers played each other in the playoffs, the winner won the Super Bowl.
See, I like that stat, but I just don't see the Rams. The Rams just lost to the Niners a couple weeks ago. They remember that. They were up big. They should have closed that game out in the third quarter. They let them come back. They remember that. I just, if you shut down Deebo Samuel, well, let me take that back. There's no shutting down Deebo Samuel because the guy is so versatile. He can do a lot of things. He can run, pass, throw. It's insane. But if you minimize Deebo Samuel and you take away George Kittle, I think it's a little easier to take away George Kittle than it is to take away Deebo Samuel. Because it's easier to put a double team on George Kittle. You can't really double team Deebo Samuel because you don't know what the guy's going to do. The guy's running in motion this way. He's running back this way. He's doing crossing routes. It's crazy. But if you minimize Deebo and you take away George Kittle, you beat that 49ers team. Don't get me wrong. I love Jimmy Garoppolo, but he doesn't have enough weapons around those two. And yes, Elijah Mitchell's a good running back, but he's still a rookie. Rookie mistakes come out eventually. So
exactly,
he can make a big rookie mistake this weekend and
especially in the playoffs.
Exactly.
It's gonna be interesting to see what Von Miller and Aaron Donald do.
That's what I'm saying. Those guys, they remember that game. They
Yeah.
remember that game a couple weeks ago where they lost and gave up that lead.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But this game just proved once again that special teams are very, very important to have
1,000%.
because that was a shit show for the Packers.
1,000%. Because if you remember, Mason Crosby gets his field goal blocked before halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, somebody had called me there. Mason Crosby gets his field goal blocked before halftime. And after that, it's still 10-10. If he makes that field goal, it's 13-10. Niners tie the game up at the end of the game. We're going into overtime. Special teams plays a big part. And it's crazy because the broadcasters before the game, they said that too. They said special teams may play a big factor in this game today. And sure enough, it did.
Yeah. And I mean, people don't give respect to special teams or kickers until they're needed.
1,000%. Not even just the kickers though. Even just field goal block, the field goal block team, punt block team. Guys making plays. Special teams. I was just telling one of my friends the other day because he's actually in college right now, getting prepared for his pro day to go into the draft this year. But
that's awesome.
I was telling him, I said, even if you don't get drafted, if you get picked up by a team, you're on your practice squad. If you make plays on special teams in the preseason, you will make that football team.
Absolutely.
Special teams plays a big role on football teams.
Yeah, I've heard football players say that, like, if you can do special teams, you have a significantly higher chance of making the team.
1,000%. And then if you're on the team because you're a special team superstar, eventually you get your shot on the actual 11 on 11 because guys get injured. Football is a dangerous sport. Guys get injured. Guys get suspended. Guys have family issues. Guys have personal issues, so you eventually get your shot. And, or, guys are just playing bad in general. You eventually get your shot. Once you get your shot, you can make your name forever.
Exactly.
But Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. Point right there. You think this is the last we see of Rodgers in a Packers uniform?
I think so.
I do too.
Rodgers, I think he's out of there. Washington can make a phone call.
Because wherever he goes, Devontae Adams goes.
Hey, I'll take the guy. And you see, I was saying earlier, we get another receiver and a quarterback. There we are. Devontae Adams and Terry McLaurin. I'll leave it at that.
That's disgusting.
I'll leave it at that.
That's a two-headed snake right there. This was the first time. This was the fifth time in NFL history that both number one seed lost in the divisional round. And
honestly, I knew the Titans were going to lose, though.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't know the Packers were going to lose, but I knew the Titans were going to lose. The Titans, they brought back Derrick Henry too fast. Not only that, Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, is not a good quarterback. I'm not a fan of Ryan Tannehill. He's like, you have Julio Jones and AJ Brown. You should be throwing for 300 to 400 yards a game.
Every game. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's just insane. I mean, how do you not make that work?
Any given Sunday.
Yeah, but that's fair. But I mean, still though, it's Julio and. You think they were the worst one seed? One of the worst one seeds?
Yes, 1,000%. They were the worst one seed. And listen, I was telling my friends all week leading up to the game. Everybody's like, bro, I'm taking the Titans. I'm taking the Titans. I said, okay, take the Titans. You're going to be very, very disappointed this weekend because the Titans are not who you think they are. I promise you that. They are not a good team. I won't say that. They're a good team. They just are not put together yet. Right. It's really, they rely on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, too much. I mean, when Henry went down, we saw how bad the Titans looked.
Exactly.
And,
they were in a lot of close games after that.
Mm-hmm. And it came back to bite them eventually.
Exactly.
Moving on to the Bengals and Titans. I mean, well, still the Bengals Titans. Joe Burrow is insane.
Joe Burrow, he's comeback player of the year.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to count Dak Prescott in there. Don't get me wrong, Dak Prescott, he's a good quarterback. I was gonna say great, but he's a good quarterback.
He's good.
Yeah, he did have a great season. I'll give him that. But it's not comeback player of the year type season that Joe Burrow's having.
Yeah.
This kid, second year. Second year.
Mm-hmm.
Second year. I honestly think that in his first year, if he would have had more weapons around him and didn't get injured, he would have won 6 to 7 games his first year.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow's a winner, and he's shown us that since LSU. And yeah, the kid he's insane.
He's special. He's absolutely special. He got sacked 9 times though.
You definitely know what Cincinnati needs to go draft this year.
Yeah. And targeted free agency, dude. Just make the entire draft offensive line.
Yeah, exactly. Draft, offensive line, free agency, like you said. And honestly, they can be right back where they are next year, right in the AFC Championship.
Exactly. And last draft, when they drafted Jamar Chase instead of Penei Sewell, I thought it was kind of dumb because Joe Burrow tore his ACL because of the line being crap. And it's still bad this year, but that connection with Jamar Chase is just something different.
1000%. You saw what they did in college together.
Yeah.
So I have a friend, he's real big into sports betting and sports in general as well. But he was telling me before that draft, he's like, Jamar Chase, he's going back with his boy. He's going back with his boy. And he's a Ravens fan, actually, so he hates the Bengals, but he loves Jamar Chase. And yeah, that connection there, they just have a connection that is like almost the backyard football type of connection, like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely. And it's crazy to watch. And I didn't think they'd get anywhere near this far because they didn't address offensive line, but clearly.
I thought the Ravens won that division before week 1 even happened. But of course, with injuries and stuff like that, other things happen. But I knew if it wasn't the Ravens, it would be the Bengals because I absolutely despise the Browns. I hate the Browns. They're terrible. They are just they trick their fans too. They are just like Washington. Yeah, I knew the Browns couldn't get it done, and I knew Big Ben wasn't getting it done. So it was either Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow.
And I feel like that's going to be the story. That's going to be the thing for years.
If Cleveland gets a quarterback, they can be in that discussion as well. They ruined Odell Beckham. Like they had us fooled thinking Odell wasn't good anymore.
Proved everybody wrong.
We see Odell is still Odell. It was never a doubt in my mind that Odell was still Odell. I always knew Baker Mayfield was a terrible quarterback. Everybody thought he was this insane guy. He's throwing 4 touchdowns here, but then the next game he throws 0 touchdowns, and I'm like, he's tricking y'all. Like, stop believing in this guy.
You think he's gonna get extended?
Stupidly, yes.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess you think Tennessee should move on from Tannehill?
1000%. I don't think Tannehill's a good quarterback.
Yeah,
he tricks a lot of people too.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him have great moments in the AFC Championship game last year, but I mean, was it last year? 2 years ago? It was just. I think I think they'll move on from him this year. in the offseason?
I think they will give him one more year with this team. Honestly, hot take, I think Julio Jones might get out of there this offseason.
You
I
think so?
don't think I don't think he got the touches he wanted. But I could be wrong, but I think they do also, to piggyback on that, I think they do also give this group right here, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Ryan Tannehill, one more go around together.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, with the one more go around together with a full off season and everything like that, I think they'll trick us next year and they'll be an absolutely out of this ballpark team and be insane and win like 11 to 12 games and trick us again and lose in the second round.
We're gonna come back to that next year, though.
Yeah.
So the conference championship picks, you got a Bengals and Chiefs.
Call me crazy. I like the Bengals. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Travis Kelce. I love Tyreek Hill. I love Tyrann Mathieu. But if Tyrann Mathieu doesn't play, then I don't think Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow can be stopped.
It's a huge hit to them. I mean, linebacker is such a crucial part in the game.
Yeah. And not only that, he can play all around. Like, guy can cover, the guy can blitz.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, he's everywhere.
He's
freak. Been like that. Yeah, he's been like that since college as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's another great underdog story there. I'm glad he has a championship under his belt.
Maybe more to come at this point with how the Chiefs
1,000%.
are. Isaac actually picked the Chiefs in this one.
Okay.
I mean, his mom's a Chiefs fan. Half of his family is Chiefs fans. We'll see.
Don't get me wrong. Chiefs have home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs are a great team. We all know that. So definitely there is 1,000% a chance for the Chiefs to win. I just feel like the team with the most momentum right now, though, is Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And if they keep that momentum going, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. And hot take, I think Cincinnati wins the Super Bowl.
I don't think, yeah, I think if they get to the Super Bowl, I think they win it. I really don't think the Rams or especially the 49ers can stop them at all.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I guess if the Rams make it, you got Donald and Von Miller destroying that offensive line, but
it would have to be a lot of quick passes from Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think they can do it though. So I guess you have the Chiefs beating or the 49ers losing to the Rams.
See, that's another. We have two great matchups this weekend, honestly. Mm-hmm. Two great matchups. The games could literally go either way.
Yeah. You betting on them?
I'm gonna take my chances. I may see this weekend. I may be smart and bet on all four teams, so I can win money somewhere. But I like the Rams.
Yeah.
I like the Rams.
We are all unanimous on the Rams. Isaac picked them too. I just think with Aaron Donald and Von Miller up front, Jalen Ramsey in the back, you got Stafford, you got OBJ, Cooper freaking Kupp, Cam Akers. I mean, that team is just built to destroy the 49ers.
And I'm glad you said his name. Cam Akers plays a big part in that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see, but that rushing attack wasn't the same without Cam Akers in there.
No.
His first game back, he has 95 yards. And it's like coming off an Achilles injury to do that in 6 months, you're a freak of nature. And yeah, he plays a big part in that. So I think if Cam Akers has a good football game this weekend, the Rams win this football game. Yes, Cooper Kupp is obviously going to be Cooper Kupp. Odell's obviously going to be Odell, but it's Cam Akers that plays a role.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for like with Achilles, it's such a big injury. I mean, you had Klay Thompson in the NBA
Oh
tear his
yeah,
Achilles before last season, and he just came back.
right.
And that's a less like physical game on your legs than football is, especially for a freaking running back. Like it's
See,
insane that he was able to do that.
yeah, 1,000%, 1,000%. He might have been built in a laboratory.
So the NFL is just it's gonna be great this last weekend before the Super Bowl, and I don't want to see it end because it's kind of been a great playoff year, but I haven't liked this season at all. Other than
What makes you say you haven't liked this season?
because the number will change. I hate the number will change. It doesn't look right. It just hasn't been. The playoffs have been great, and that's the best. This has been the highlight of the season, obviously. But nothing has really. You got Jonathan Taylor having an MVP season, but other than that, nothing is really. It hasn't been the same for me. Hasn't felt the same.
I can see where you're going with that.
I know a lot of people don't feel that
I,
way, but
I would like this. Yeah, honestly, I didn't really like this season too. Too many injuries.
mm-hmm.
Too many injuries to key players on key teams.
Ravens.
Just like, yep, I was just about to say, just like Baltimore. So yeah, I didn't really like this season too much either. I think it was an exciting season at times. I think the playoffs have been the most exciting thing about this whole entire season, honestly.
Absolutely, without question. It's been great.
But yeah, too many injuries this year. I would love to see the NFL next year when all teams are healthy, 100% ready to go. Plus, we have a draft class coming in, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot better next year. This year, I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, like an asterisk kind of year.
Yep.
But I mean, like you said, with the draft and this offseason is going to be great. I'm excited for that. Do you
Free
think
agents are gonna be flying around.
it's going to be awesome? I can't wait for Shefty to just keep tweeting out everything. Once that new year starts, March 16th, I believe it is. It's going to be
Yep.
great. For the NBA, we wanted to get into the NBA. I know you wanted to talk about the Wizards and the Clippers and that 35-point blown lead.
So I'm gonna go back to sports betting for a second. This was a game. You asked me earlier. You said, "Is there any games, point spreads that you don't take that are close?"
Mm-hmm.
They had the Wizards favored by 3 last night. I sat and stared at this point spread for 10 minutes. I'm waiting for it to change to about like 2 or 1. Never changed. It stayed at 3. And I'm like, I just don't trust the Wizards at 3 points. There's something telling me, even without a Paul George, even without a Kawhi Leonard, this Clippers team is going to beat this Wizards team. I see at halftime on Twitter, they're down 30 points. I said, damn, I should have took the Wizards. I came back maybe about 40 minutes later, and the game is tied. I'm like, what is going on? This is insane. And so I ended up watching that last, like, how many ever seconds. It was like 20 seconds, and the guy hits the 3-pointer and gets fouled to go to the free throw line. I'm like, this is absolutely insane. This is probably the craziest comeback I have seen in the NBA this year.
Yeah, I mean the Raptors did it last year, 2 years ago. They came back, but it hasn't happened this year. I mean, you got the Sixers blowing leads like crazy.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Sixers have lost me a couple $100 this year.
I'm sorry. Blame Doc Rivers. Doc is the issue.
I'm going to be honest, though. The Celtics have lost me the most money this year. I'm staying away from the Celtics for a little bit. Yes.
I knew the Celtics have been, like, really bad lately, but I didn't know. Man, a lot of money.
Yeah, Celtics, they tricked me.
I mean, I don't like the Celtics, so I'm right there with the Celtics hate.
Yeah, me, I don't really have a team. Everybody knows where I'm at. I'm Team LeBron.
Right.
And yeah, I'm Team LeBron. I don't think we make the playoffs this year.
No,
But
not even
if
playing.
we do, if LeBron makes the playoffs this year, if the Lakers make the playoffs somehow, don't count Braun out for the championship.
No, never count Braun out. He's been to 10. I'll never count him out. I mean, I'm Jordan all the way, but I give LeBron credit when it's due, and this man has been to 10 finals.
See, I used to hate Jordan, but I don't hate him anymore. I give him his respect now, 1000%. He definitely changed the game of basketball.
Yeah.
Great player. The guy won 6 championships and never lost in the finals.
Never went to a game 7.
That's insane. But I just think LeBron as an all-around player is better than Michael Jordan.
I could see that. So for the Lakers, do you think they trade Russ at the deadline?
I'm going to be honest. I think they probably will, but I don't think that's the right move. I don't think Russell Westbrook is the problem. I think the Lakers need more depth on their bench. I love Carmelo Anthony. I love Malik Monk. Mm-hmm. All those guys, those guys can stay. But I say you get rid of guys like Horton Tucker and Austin Reeves and a couple first-round picks and stuff like that to get more key role players. Well, not even first-round picks if you're getting role players, but getting more key role players. If they get more key role players around Russ, Braun, and AD, and this is the other thing, we haven't even seen a healthy AD yet, honestly. So I don't think they should get rid of Russ at the deadline, but I do think they probably will get rid of Russ at the deadline, which is sad to say because they could be something special with the 3 of them healthy: Russ, LeBron, and KD.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AD.
I think it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be. I don't think we're gonna see a Ben Simmons move as much as I'd like to see one. I don't think we will. I think Morey's gonna wait to try to get James Harden for a sign and trade in the offseason. I wonder if they'll trade Tobias Harris.
I love Tobias Harris.
Me too.
Tobias Harris is a key role player. He fits his role very well, and he meshes very well next to Joel Embiid and the rest of those guys.
He's been having a bad season, but he hasn't been great. But
yeah, I don't know. He fits his role well. He never steps out of his role, and that's what you need out of key role players. Like he can have a night where he doesn't score any points, but let's say he has 5 assists, 6 assists. At the end of the day, he did his job. If you ask me.
Yeah.
Let's say his opponent has 8 points that whole game. So if he has 0 points, his opponent has 8 points, but he has 6 assists and 8 rebounds. He did his job, if you ask me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love Tobias Harris, and I think we are also missing Ben Simmons. What Ben Simmons can contribute aside from obviously shooting, his defense, his playmaking. I think we're missing that a lot.
See, I think this is what I believe happened with Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons started seeing the criticism on the internet. He can't shoot, he can't this, he can't that. And I think his teammates as well were like, bro, you're garbage.
I think so too.
I think at first they were supporting him. There was a supporting role. But as a young guy, Ben Simmons is a young guy. So as a young guy, you start seeing things like that, the criticism towards you. and then you start getting a terrible attitude. So I think his attitude changed towards his teammates and stuff like that. So then they started agreeing with the media and stuff like that instead of supporting him. Yeah. And now it's just come to this point here where you just don't even know what to do. Trade him, keep him, release him. Like,
he ain't gonna get released. He has too big of a contract.
Yeah.
But I just want to make this clear for people listening. Like, as a Sixers fan, my entire family's from Philly. Like, I am all over Sixers social media, listening to it, watching it, everything. We have always wanted Ben Simmons to succeed and shoot and play. We never, in the beginning, we were defending him until this past playoff push, and half the fan base, wanted him, like, not half the fan base, but a lot of the fan base wanted him gone. But it wasn't as loud as the defenders were, because the people who were defending Ben Simmons, like me, we were like, nah, y'all are like dumb. He contributes this much. He's just got to shoot. He's got to get better. Being like this to him is not going to help. And we said that the entire time until this past offseason, until this past playoff push.
Yeah, I can agree with that 1,000%, because there was a lot of people that were supporting him. But this is what I can say about Ben Simmons. There was a time where they were comparing this guy to LeBron James.
Yeah, I know.
LeBron James was 18 years old and was leading his team already. There were so many guys criticizing him. Skip Bayless has made a career off hot takes on LeBron James. Like, I honestly, when LeBron retires, I honestly think Skip might retire too. He'll have nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else Skip Bayless can talk about after LeBron retires. Like, but this is the thing, even when he's talking football, he still refers to LeBron somehow. The guy just needs LeBron. So this is what I say, going back to that, to Ben Simmons and LeBron. There was a time they compared this guy to LeBron. LeBron had all that criticism around him. LeBron took that and went and got to be a better player.
Yeah.
At 22 years old, he has Daniel Gibson around him, Mo Williams, Anderson Varejao was his second best player. He has Drew Gooden, and he takes those guys to the NBA Finals. Yes, he gets swept, but look who he gets swept by: Prime Spurs, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker. This is a 22-year-old kid with no other superstar around him. And Ben Simmons could have been the same way, but instead he allowed that criticism to get to him. And he took it personal. And instead of going to get better, he just stopped. Like, there was no drive to, like, shut the critics up. Like, all right, you're saying this about me. You say I can't shoot. All right, that whole offseason, I would have been working on my shooting. I would have came back out that next year, and I would have been draining threes. Just draining.
Yeah, and when we lost to the Hawks, or not, when we lost to the Hawks we blew the 26-point lead, not the series, but when we lost that 26-point lead and ended up losing the game, because they were doing hack-a-ben. If I had that, I would have been shooting free throws for hours. I would have made sure I made 200 free throws before I left the building.
Exactly. And the thing is, that's another thing. Like, LeBron's not really too good at free throws as well. But you see the guy working all off season on his free throws. Like, he tries to get better at it. And that's why when people were comparing the two, when Ben Simmons first came out, oh, this guy might be the next LeBron. He might be this, he might be that. I'm like, you guys are
work
reaching.
Ethic. Yeah.
You're reaching. LeBron is a different animal. He's really a different animal. And there's only a couple other guys that are really have that different animal in them, like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, honestly, Draymond Green, Ja Morant, Donovan Mitchell, guys like that. You know, those are all guys I've seen get criticized. Joel Embiid.
Yep, I was just gonna say Embiid. He took it and ran with it. The fan base, we booed him. I forget why. I'm pretty sure it was stupid, but we booed him and he took it, ran with it, and now he's back-to-back MVP candidate.
Exactly. Like it's just those guys are different animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's a
they don't let
mentality.
geez, I'm sorry. I missed one. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh,
That
Giannis, the
guy,
Greek freak.
different animal. So, Ben Simmons, he doesn't fall in that different animal category. He's got to
Nah,
show me a lot more. Oh, Kyrie Irving too. He falls in that category. I respect Kyrie. I love Kyrie. His
he got
game is different.
amazing handles.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch play. But after the NBA, we got the MLB, and there's still that lockout. They had meetings, and it seems to be progressing. It seems to be the owners are kind of folding a little bit, but not much. And I can't believe it's getting to this.
Yeah, it's almost like that year that we had the NBA lockout.
Mm-hmm.
I think eventually they'll come out of the lockout. I just think that we'll have less MLB games this year.
They need a month to prepare for spring training.
Yeah, exactly. So it's it's disappointing because the MLB is so fun.
It is.
A lot of people say it's a boring game, but it's actually not a boring game. It's very, very fun because baseball is a game of runs, and at any second you can just see a team. It could be 0-0 and now it's 4-0 because this team just hit a grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need baseball. We need them to come out of that lockout.
Yeah, as a Phillies fan, I have seen countless blown leads in the 9th, 8th, and 7th inning that we just don't come back from because our bullpen, and people who say it's boring, I feel don't watch the pitching.
Yep, that's exactly what happens. But to piggyback on you on the Phillies, the Phillies, there was only a couple games that I bet on the Phillies this year. And there was a game the Phillies were down 6-0.
Yep.
They ended up coming back and winning this game. I did a backflip that night. The Phillies won me a lot of money that night. I did
Didn't I tell
backflip.
you not to count them out that game or something?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
I remember that game. That was a great game. And with the Phillies, it's just they're so frustrating. I mean, you have Harper having one of the best seasons as a Philly ever, capitulating with an MVP, but nothing.
I think the Phillies can come together, and
Mm-hmm.
you guys, if we do have a season next year, I think that you guys will have a much better season. Definitely sneak into the playoffs. If not the division leader, you'll definitely sneak in the wild card somehow, some way.
I hope so.
But my sneakiest wild card or division leader next year is definitely the Mets. Max Scherzer going there is ridiculous.
It made me so mad.
So I think the Mets can be a team to watch next year.
Yeah, I mean, with that Scherzer signing, it's what, 3 years and
Yep,
like
3 years.
130 million.
Those MLB contracts are crazy.
there's no cap space, or there's no cap. There's no cap. So
yeah,
the richest owner in the MLB is the owner of the Mets. So,
yep.
And what's frustrating to me is, as a fan, my thinking about this is if you're the owner, especially of an MLB team, spend all the money that you can on players and stuff, on your coaching, on your players, on your farm system, especially because if you spend your money on that, especially if you're in a big city like Philly, New York, Cali, Dallas, Florida, if you're like one of those big market, big city teams, or one of those destination cities,
Mm-hmm.
your fan base will spend money on tickets, merch, like everything. You'll get the money back in days.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. Especially in those big cities, like you said, New York, Philly, uh, California, like those guys, they have no reason not to spend money.
Right.
Go make your team elite. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how the Yankees aren't just absolutely destroying people. Like they had 3 or 4 power hitters in their lineup
Mm-hmm.
almost every night. And if all 4 of them weren't in the lineup at every night, then at least 2 of them were.
Yeah.
So it was just, yeah. But that's an example right there. They spent money to get those power hitters all around one another.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be done. It's just which owners are smart enough to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't buy championships, obviously, like at the Yankees, but putting money in the right spots, like your farm system, your coaching and your scout team, those are the biggest things to spend
Yep.
your money on. It's worth it at the end of the day.
100%. You can say I'm getting off track on sports, but you can say the same thing about the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Trent Williams a couple off seasons ago was probably one of the biggest things for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Trent Williams is a great player. I'm so sad that we lost him in Washington. He was one of our best players that ever came into a Washington jersey.
Mm-hmm.
But that's right there. That's building your farm system and, spending money on around what's needed.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because it seems like such a simple mindset and concept to have, but they don't do it. And it's
Right.
insane to see incompetent organizations like the Mariners, who haven't made it to the playoffs in 20 years. Phillies haven't made it in 10. Like,
Yeah, it's like when you see things like that, it's like, do you have the will to want to get better? Like,
right, or just in it for the money.
or yeah, exactly. Like, what are you really in this for? That's just like, even like going back to Washington. Washington has been tricking us my whole entire life. I'm 24, gonna be 25 soon, and I haven't seen Washington do anything in 24 years. So
No,
it's stuff like that. Like, we signed Albert Hainsworth one year, he didn't do anything.
I remember that.
Gave him $100 million to sit on the bench.
Yep.
So it's like, are you in it for the money, or do you actually want to win?
Right. And I like what you can tell when teams are trying to win, but they just like don't. I mean, the Phillies have made moves. They got Real Muto, Harper. They extended Aaron Nola, which irritates me now. I'm not a huge fan of Nola. Um, we have Zach Wheeler, who should have won Cy Young,
Yes.
but I don't. But I mean, you have all these other teams making bigger, better moves, and we still have the opportunity to get Chris Bryant and other players. But will they do it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
See, it's like that, going back to what you said, are they in it for the winning purposes, or are they in it for the money? Because like, you can surround so many people around those number of people that you just said,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys could be from good to elite in a
Yeah.
year. And it's like, look what the Dodgers did. Like, Dodgers went and built around everyone there. Look where they went last year. Yeah, they didn't win it, but like,
Look what they did.
exactly.
Um. So, do you think that the Scherzer trade was one of the best trades in MLB history?
Scherzer to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Dodgers definitely won that trade. That
Without
was,
question.
I would say that was one of the craziest trades in MLB history. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
crazy, I mean the Nationals were out of their mind.
Yeah. I mean, they traded Scherzer and Turner to the Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. The
Like,
Nationals were out of their mind.
they sold big at the deadline. And it was funny to see because living in the DMV, I'm able to go to Nats games, and I went to the Phillies Nats game after the trade deadline, and the Nats were out of the playoffs and the Phillies were in the hunt. and you could see just how empty the stadium was.
Yeah, there's nobody else to cheer for now. You just got rid of a great Trey Turner, and
Mm-hmm.
now you just got rid of one of our best pitchers to ever wear our jersey.
Yeah,
Like,
got rid of Schwarber too.
and then not only that, Bryce Harper. I mean, he's been gone a couple years now, but you got rid of Bryce Harper too. That's 3 all-star guys right there that you got rid of. I wouldn't go there if I was a fan either.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because taking biases and my disliking of every NL East team out of it, um, it sucks for the fan bases. It's not fair. And I
Yeah,
mean, you don't want to waste players' careers. And if you want, and I get like Max Scherzer kind of wanted out, he was going to leave anyway. So it made sense. But at the same time, like you're doing your fans a disservice.
right. You can say that about any sport, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the NHL with the Flyers losing 13 straight. They just lost their 13 straight last night. Like,
Yeah, that's just insane. And it's like that's another thing. Like, just do you have the will to want to be better or
yeah,
win? Like, have a little bit of heart.
yeah.
Like,
My brother texted me last night, because they're all Flyers fans. I'm a Devils fan. So this isn't hurting me. It's kind of great, but but my brother was like, they don't care. It's all about the money.
right,
Because I'm pretty sure Comcast owns them or something like that, and they've gone through. They had a 10 or 11 game losing streak this year already. Now they're on another one, and it's 13 at this point. I mean, it's embarrassing.
well, I know who to bet against.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's their 13th straight loss, and you got and for for the Devils, I mean, obviously we're no team that's uh hasn't had embarrassing things. I mean, we've we've had like back to back first overall picks. We got Jack Hughes, Nico Heischer, and you have the Rangers who had the second overall pick when we had Jack Hughes, and they're fighting for a cup. I mean,
Yeah, you see, it's like when you want to, because most cities want to bring their city a championship.
yeah.
You can see that in a lot of teams in all the different sports.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey as well, because even when the Capitals won, um, it was like you just saw that they had the will to want to do that.
Yeah.
They brought guys in around to the Ovechkin, um, and they had TJ Oshie. Like they just had guys that wanted to win. They had the mentality to win. You bring guys in together like that, then you can win championships and bring your team championships, and you can show that it's not all about the money. But then you
Yeah.
have the other teams. You have the other teams where it's like these guys are just in it for the money.
Yeah.
Like the Lions in football. Like, geez, don't mind. I'm not even gonna go there, but it's teams like that.
Yeah. And that fan base is so passionate and loyal, and they love their team. But
Yeah, exactly.
it blows my mind how, I mean, it's like, are they even sports fans at that point? Do they even like sports? The owners of the owners of the teams that just don't care. Do they even like sports? I don't think they do, because if they did, I don't think they would be in it for the money. I think they'd be in it for the wins.
1,000%. I think a lot of things in sports now has come around betting though.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that are in the higher ups that can control a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think money has taken over sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And it's a shame because, like I said, the fan bases deserve so much more. Each sport
Yeah.
can grow so much if they just cared.
Yep. Exactly.
And Rob Manfred clearly doesn't care about the MLB. at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's the commissioner. The trophy is named after his job. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Sportsgasm podcast. Thank you so much, Calvin, for coming on. You've been awesome.
And no problem.
It's been great. Hope you like what you heard. If you did, check out the support button. Help us grow. Help us improve and everything. You can watch this whole thing on YouTube and listen to it on Spotify. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at SportsgasmPod. We'll be asking you future questions and stuff like that and posting them on socials. See y'all next week. Thanks, Calvin.
Yes, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Great talk.